Namaskar, everyone. My name is Gopika, and I'll be your MC for the closing session of this wonderful 3-day long Threads Conference 2019. Thank you so much, the wonderful audience. It's really an honor that you all are here for this conference, because the way this conference was designed, the reason why this conference came up, you all made it possible together. It's been an amazing journey, and the last 2 days have enlightened us with so much knowledge, information that has been shared by our speakers, who are very successful in their respective fields and who have enriched the American tapestry with their diverse and far-ranging contributions. They have helped us to achieve the aim of Threads 2019, and that was to bring together all Hindu Americans, and it doesn't matter whether they are thinkers or educators, writers, scientists, technologists, entrepreneurs, business leaders. It's a long list. But they are here together on this platform to share their story, to share their journey, to celebrate the achievements, and, of course, our future goal, where we all come together and decide, where do we go next from here? Explore the ideas, how can we go to the next level? And the next level, there is no end to it. We all can do this, we have been doing this, and all Hindu Americans all over the world have proved. Doesn't matter whether we travel to different countries, it has been an amazing journey, and we all can do this together. So thank you so much for all your support. And this is just step one. We have a lot to do, and definitely looking forward to many, many, many more. Thank you so much, Sanjay ji, for starting this initiative. So now, let's start our closing session, and this I would call a grand finale, because we have something that you have been waiting for. So I would like to invite our first keynote speaker, Mr. Tahir Gora ji, on the stage, please. Mr. Tahir Gora is an author, a journalist, and political activist. He is a founder of Canadian Thinkers Forum and TAG TV channel. Some of his shows in Urdu, Hindi languages have received over 100 million views in Southeast Asia. He is a fierce critic of Islamist jihadi ideology. He is co-author of book Submission: Threats of Political Islam to Canada and the United States. His novel, Rang Mahal, portrays dilemma of multiculturalism in the West. He's working on a new novel that is depicting ISI role in terrorism in Afghanistan, Kashmir, and around the globe. Tahir is strong proponent of speech. He calls himself a Hindu born in Muslim faith and a Canadian Punjabi of Indian heritage born in political Pakistan. I would like to call Mr. Tahir Gora ji and continue, please.
Thank you very much. I really appreciate for this introduction. I'm very grateful for the organizers and the delegates in this conference. I would like to reflect on a couple of key issues in terms of my own identity quest. I have a few notes with me. I call myself a Hindu born in Muslim faith. Thank you for this understanding. I'm also a Canadian Punjabi of Bharati heritage, born in political Pakistan. As I identify myself a son of Dharma, I often become saddened when I find demonization of Dharma, Hinduism, and my Bharati civilization and heritage in the hands of our own North American mainstream media, which is mainly being operated by hollow and shallow, extreme left-leaned so-called journalists. It's happening more so in context of BJP's consecutive two governments. We often hear the negative connotations such as right-wing Hindu nationalist government or Hindutva government, etc., or recent extreme rhetoric by Pakistan's short-sighted Prime Minister Imran Khan when he equates BJP RSS with Nazis. We, the people of Dharma, have contributed enormously in our beloved adopted countries, United States of America and Canada, but we haven't done anything substantially yet in terms of countering those propagandas. We need to enlighten mainstream media that Hindu nationalists or Hindutva sentiments are positive and peaceful vibrations. Our Hindu leadership should come up with our own parallel media outlets to counter this negative propaganda. Now, let me share my own journey towards Dharma. My quest for identity begins with, who am I? It is hard to get an answer of such a simple question if you were born in Pakistan, because Pakistani society or diaspora does not offer you a straight and true answer in this regard, rather leads you to a fake path of identity. Pakistan imposes Muslim Ummah identity on you, which is not a heritage of any Muslim on this planet. Islam is just one of the three Abrahamic religions. It is not anyone's race or heritage. So then who am I? I get answer not through Pakistani fake history books or through politics, rather through literature, music, art, and intellectual discourse. Finally, I was able to identify myself as a Bharati. This revelation was transferred to me by gurus such as Bulle Shah, Kabir Das, Manto, Krishan Chandra, and Ram Lal. On one hand, I was lucky enough to discover my Bharati identity in very early stage of my life, and on the other hand, Bulle Shah revealed to me, quote, "From first to last, I searched myself. None other did I succeed in knowing. I know not who am I." In fact, this paradox, unquote, in fact, this paradox leads one to know about oneself or to know nothing about oneself. Those are the two sides of a coin. That is the ultimate freedom. The spiritual saga of Bharat lies in both sides of a coin, to know and to know nothing. Both aspects fit well in any open society, so our beloved Americas are the natural breeding grounds of Bharati intellectual discourse as well as Bharati way of life. And now, how do I relate my Indianness with North Americas? Of course, through blending my true Bharati heritage in an environment of free world. There is no clash between a free world and a Bharati soul. Even being born in political Pakistan and Muslim faith family, one can set oneself free from all superficial political affiliations and feel like a bird flown to North America. I call myself a Hindu born in Muslim faith because we all are Hindus no matter what faith club we belong to. This equation seems very complex, but it is very simple as well, especially for those who are honest within themselves. In search of my identity, my basic question to myself was, what is the name of my dharti, homeland? Of course, Bharat. Then what is Pakistan? Of course, a carved out part of the Bharat, an amputated part of the Bharat. Pakistan is not a nation. Pakistan is not a civilization. Pakistan is not anyone's heritage, and Pakistan is not my heritage either. My heritage is Bharat. My motherland is Bharat. Initially, I took the creation of Pakistan as a blunder of history in my early childhood perception around mid-70s. The books, though, in my primary and then high school were filled of so much hatred and derogatory remarks against my own heritage. That hatred against my being enraged and saddened me so much that I became a regular listener to Muhammad Rafi, Mukesh, Manna Dev, Yasudas' sad melodies. Like most Pakistanis, I became a fan of Hindi movies that always delivered me a subtle message to fight against injustice and inhumanity. I started experiencing hatred and intolerance against my own heritage day and night through Pakistani media, textbooks, and ruling classes. So the music and cinematography gave me a power to reject that very hatred. Later, I was more empowered through literature in order to fight this hatred against my own being. Not all literature helped empower me. Some literature, again, was and is a propaganda literature used by Islamist mindsets, but some literature was true in its spirit. As Bulleh Shah said, quote, "Let us sit together. We are not sinners, are pure. What is sin and what is nobility? This I don't know." Unquote. Then a great Saadat Hasan Manto's short stories came onto my radar. A famous story, Toba Tek Singh, goes on. 2 or 3 years after partition, the government of Pakistan and India decided to exchange lunatics in the same way that they had exchanged civilian prisoners. There was one Muslim lunatic who had read the newspaper every day for 12 years. One of his friends asked him, "Maulvi Sahab, what is Pakistan?" After careful thought, he replied, "It is a place in India where they make razors." One Sikh lunatic asked another Sikh, "Sardarji, why are they sending us to India? We don't even speak the language." All they knew was that there was a man named Muhammad Ali Jinnah, whom people called the Qaid-e-Azam. he had made a separate country for the Muslims called Pakistan. They had no idea where it was or what its boundaries might be. This is why all the lunatics who had not entirely lost their senses were perplexed as to whether they were in Pakistan or India. If they were in India, then where was Pakistan? If they were in Pakistan, then how was it that the place where they lived had until recently been known as India? One lunatic got so involved in this India-Pakistan question that he became even crazier. One day he climbed a tree and sat on one of its branches for 2 hours, lecturing without pause on the complex issues of partition. When the guards told him to come down, he climbed higher, where when they tried to frighten him with threats, he replied, "I will live neither in India nor in Pakistan. I will live in this tree right here." There was one fat Muslim lunatic from Keynote who had been an enthusiastic Muslim League activist. He used to wash 15 or 16 times a day, but abandoned the habit overnight. His name was Muhammad Ali. One day he announced that he was the Qaid-e-Azam, Muhammad Ali Jinnah. Seeing this, a Sikh lunatic declared himself to be a Master Tara Singh. There was also a young Hindu lawyer from Lahore who had gone mad over an unhappy love affair. He was distressed to hear that Amritsar was now in India because his beloved was a Hindu girl from that city. Although she had rejected him, he had not forgotten her after losing his mind. For this reason, he cursed the Muslim leaders who had split India into 2 parts so that his beloved remained Indian while he became Pakistani. There was another lunatic in that madhouse who thought he was God. One day, Bhushan Singh asked him where Toba Tek Singh was, in Pakistan or India. He replied, "Neither, because I haven't yet decided where to put it." Bhushan Singh begged this God to resolve the status of Toba Tek Singh and thus end his perplexity. A few days before the day of the exchange, one of Bhushan Singh's Muslim friends came to visit from Toba Tek Singh. This man had never visited the madhouse before. Seeing him, Bhushan Singh turned abruptly and started walking away, but the guard stopped him. "He has come to visit you. It's your friend Fazluddin," the guard said. Glancing at Fazluddin, Bhushan Singh muttered a bit. Fazluddin advanced and took him by the elbow. "All your relatives have gone safely to India. I helped them as much as I could." Bhushan Singh said nothing. Fazluddin continued, "They asked me to make sure you were all right. Now I hear that you are going to India. Give my salams to Brother Balbir Singh and Brother Wadada Singh and to Sister Imrat Kaur. Tell Brother Balbir Singh that I'm doing fine." Bhushan Singh handed the package over to the guard. "Where is Toba Tek Singh?" he asked. Fazluddin was taken aback. "Toba Tek Singh? Where is it?" "It is where it has always been," he replied. "In Pakistan or in India?" Bhushan Singh persisted. Fazluddin became flustered. "It's in India. No, Pakistan." When Bhushan Singh's turn came to be entered in the registered, he spoke to the official in charge. "Where is Toba Tek Singh?" he asked. "Is it in Pakistan or India?" The official laughed. "It is in Pakistan," he replied. Hearing this, Bhushan Singh leaped back and ran to where his remaining companion stood waiting. The Pakistani guards caught him and tried to bring him back to the crossing point, but he refused to go. Because he was harmless, the guards let him stand right where he was while they got on with their work. He was quiet all night, but just before sunrise, he screamed. Officials came running from all sides. He was laying down on the ground. India was on one side, behind a barbed wire fence. Pakistan was on the other side, behind another fence. Toba Tek Singh lay in the middle on a piece of land that had no name. Manto's story ends here, but my story is a never-ending story. Like all fellows of Dharma origin in this room and millions more across Americas, we are in this piece of land that got a name and that is attached with our freedoms and aspirations. Here I could recall Zafar Iqbal's couplet in Urdu, मज़े की बात है उसको भजन सिखाते हैं जो खुद ही मूर्ति है और खुद ही मंदिर है. It is interesting we teach bhajan to a special one, whom herself is a temple and whom herself is a goddess. So our Americas are our temples as well as our goddess. Thank you very much.
So our next keynote speaker, Shri Darshak Hathi ji, he is a motivational speaker, mentor and master trainer, coach for soft skills. He is the international director of Art of Living Foundation. He has traveled extensively across the world to conduct corporate and government executive training programs. He's been a bridge between the organizational goals and political and social establishments in India. He comes with over 3 decades of experience in international relations, business, finance, executive training, community outreach, social and development sectors. I would like to call Shri Darshak Hathi ji now.
ॐ नमः प्रणवार्थाय शुद्धज्ञानेकमूर्तये निर्मलाय प्रशान्ताय दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः. My brothers and sisters of America, this is how one of the monks from India, Swami Vivekananda, addressed the August gathering of USA in 126 years before. I think that was the thread which he has created, and we are all part of it. And then there are so many other masters who came in the same tradition and gave the same message, decoded the Hindu way of living, the Vedic Hindu way of living. The message which Swami Vivekananda gave 126 years before is so relevant even in today's modern context. Whether it is a religious tolerance, solidarity, brotherhood, or knowing about the self, health. So many speakers spoke about this in this August gathering. So my subject is spirituality and technology. I think we have reached to a milestone. You know that creation has its own course. We have reached to a milestone where we have done so much of technological innovation. In fact, if you see, technology is nothing but extension of our body. We have got the best camera and we created the cameras. Yeah, best audio device, visual device, speech device, we created all of that. We got the best network system and we created the network system. That was not enough and we created the CPU. And finally, AI. Now, in all the other technology, we know the focal points. We know the focal point of camera and audio device and speech device. How much we know about the mind? Hardly 7%, 8%. So we are trying to create something out of unknown, and it can go in any direction. Yeah? But what is beyond AI? We don't even know much about our mind. And if the mankind wants to go further, they need to know a little bit about the consciousness. We need to blend the science with the consciousness. And it was not a new concept in Vedic Hindu tradition. Our rishis were scientists. They have done a lot of invention without modern technology, which was not carried forward because of thousands of years of slavery in India, and all the documents were lost. And somehow we didn't practice it. But it is still available to us. And if I would say that, some of the speakers before also said that, the consciousness has a power to create the matter. Matter cannot create the consciousness. So we know about it. And what is relevant in today's modern, digitally driven society, I would say. I was in a Bay Area, and once I was traveling in the car on the highway, and suddenly I saw a board. Are you suffering from FOMO? And I was a little surprised that, what is this FOMO? I've never heard about this. And then I did research, and I came to know so many other abbreviations, the FOMO and FOBO and 4G and MOMO. And it really opened up a new dimension for me. So this is what our young generation is experiencing. Because we have created a parallel world, a digital world, I would say, and everybody is hooked to it. Whether you want it or not, we all are hooked to it. And then with the technology comes all the other things. If you are not using technology properly, then it creates so many challenges for the individuals, for the families, and for the society. And this is what we are experiencing. So all the technology is for our outer comfort. Yes, it gives us comfort. And we want to be comfortable, want to be more happy in our life. But what about the inner comfort? We are constantly upgrading our technologies, putting our money and time and our resources. How much we have upgraded our inner technology, I would say human technology. How much we know about it. And that is where the disconnect happens. We have created so much outer comfort. What about the inner comforts? And when individuals are not experiencing that inner comforts, that's where all the problem starts with the body and mind. We are talking about physical health, mental health, emotional health, so also the social health. All that challenges that we see today, where does it come from? From the human mind. And what is the solution? So ancient people, they knew about this because mind works with the same principles wherever they are. Whoever is there in the world at whatever level, the principles are all same. And how to manage that mind? It was known to us thousands of years before. So what this knowledge can contribute? So many speakers spoke in this gathering from the diverse background, from the political background, the economical background, from the science, and there is a common thread. When we talk about the Hindus, when we talk about spirituality, there is no difference, I would say. The Vedic knowledge, the Hindu knowledge, or the spirituality, it's all, I would say, it's all coming from the same roots. And it is connecting to every individual in the society. So if you are in the finance, you're talking about the fintech, but so also there are issues of ethics, there are issues of corruption and moralities and practices. You need understanding. If you're talking about the society, There is a problem with the gender equality and economical disparity and all the other things, crime and racism. What is the solution? The solution is with the spirituality, with this Hindu knowledge. You talk about the individual challenges, so many kind of mental health issues. Why? Because we have not taught our generations how to manage it. So there is always a prevention, and these people knew about this. That we need to do a prevention thing, not only for the individuals, but also for the society. So they came out with all the principles, and these principles are beyond the time and space. So what Swami Vivekananda said, or all the rishis who said thousands of years before, it is so relevant in today's life also. Because it's for the benefit of the mankind. So Hindus have contributed so much in this country. Just 0.7% population of America. How they've excelled, how they've reached out to that level. There must be some way of living, some principle which is guiding them. So I think for me, being a Hindu, it is not a religion for me. It is in my genes. The way I think, the way I behave, the way I act with my brothers, my sisters, my fellow members, and with the society at large. I know how to live with a cooperative coexistence, with the harmony with the people. I don't believe in converting the people from the faith and religion. I believe in giving equal rights to them. That's why the India, being a cradle of all the civilization, we have accepted the world, religions and faith. Because I believe in cooperative coexistence. We are not living all alone by ourselves. We are not an independent individual on this planet. We are interdependent. We are sharing this planet with 7 billion people. We are using the same breath, same air. But when I give priority to all my identities, other than my human identity, I create differences. So no two human beings are same, not even in the family. But rather than fighting on the differences and diversity, we can celebrate the diversity. That's what I've learned being a Hindu. I believe in conscious consumption of the nature, not exploitation of the nature. This was known to me thousands of years before. And this is what is creating issues. We talk about the climate change and environmental issue, but where is that reverence for the nature, which is very much there in this tradition? Respecting the river, respecting the trees, respecting the earth, everything is just there in my nature. So what I have learned since thousands of years, it has become part of my living. And this is what I carry wherever I go. So this globalization concept is not new. People in India, in that tradition, they have globalized the world with their wisdom. That's why so many people came to India to learn the Vedic wisdom from China and from Europe and different parts of the world. In the first generation, in the first century, India's GDP was 25% of the world GDP, with all the products, with the technology. So that knowledge, that understanding, that wisdom, we are carrying with us wherever we go in the world, and we contribute to that part of the world, whether it is the USA or Europe or Australia, any part of the world. And I think this is what we need to take it to our next generation. And this is a need of the hour. Yeah? If the individuals are not healthy and happy, if the society is not healthy and happy, we can have n number of innovation and technological advancement. It doesn't help. That is where we need these values, this way of living, which can create a better society. And we have inherited this. We have not inherited this planet from our previous generation, but we are indebted to our next generation. They will ask the questions that you had a time. What did you do for us? What kind of society you have created for us? So we are answerable to our next generation. And that is why I would say the spirituality should always go hands in hand with the technological advancement. That's the need of the hour. So I'm so happy that the Vishwa Hindu Parishad, World Council of Hindus have taken this initiative to glorify, to decode the Hindu way of living to this country. And this country is so vibrant. People come here with the American dream. There are achievers. They come from all parts of the world. So like India, the US has also given that land, that possibility to the people. They have the best universities, the best technologies. Everything is here. And how we have merged with them, how we have contributed with them. This is an example in itself. So the relation between India and America or all the other countries, it proves that we have improved our trades and our bilateral relationships and everything. People have contributed to the politics of the USA. So that openness of this country, the best values, the best practices, support to the rights and equalities, if it goes with the Hindu way of living, I think we can create much better society for our future. So with these few words, I would like to extend all my best wishes to the organization, to all the people who have come here to support this wonderful cause. Wish you all the best, and together we can do something better for our society. Jai Guru.
Thank you so much, Shri Darshak Hathi, for teaching us that we really need to value our values and why we need to change our way of living, not only for ourselves, but for our next generation ahead. At this point, I would really thank Mr. Tahir Gora ji, our first keynote speaker, Shri Darshak Hathi, for sharing your ideas, for enlightening us with this knowledge that we all need to know. We need to remember these things. Sometimes we just forget, but we need to remember all this. Thank you so much. It's an honor that you are here with us, and we thank you from the bottom of our heart. So next, I would like to call Mr. Neeraj Kumar ji and Mahapula ji. Let me introduce. Mahapula is a senior member of World Hindu Council of America. She's also a senior sales leader at a Boston-based intelligent edge platform service provider focused on providing enterprises the ability to deliver a rich digital customer experience through the power of the platform. Maha is often called upon to lead and drive business transformation initiatives in various capacities. Maha is on the board of directors of Chinmay Mission West, the apex body in North America, running over 49 centers in North America where children and adults of all ages and backgrounds engage in learning about the rich cultural heritage of India. Mr. Neeraj Kumar is also a senior member of World Hindu Council of America. He is a management consultant, business developer, and thought capital leader in technology and telecommunications centers. He has deep experience in counseling CXOs and business executives on areas of corporate growth and operational strategies. He is frequently called upon to develop executable paths to digital business transformation and emerging technologies. He is an innovative thinker, writer, and evangelist for the mobile telecom and Internet of Things businesses. I would like to call Mr. Neeraj Kumar and Mahaji, please.
All right, we are going to do this together and just save you some time. And my laptop just decided to reboot. Interesting. Don't rely on technology. Oh, no, it didn't. Actually, I'll tell you a little bit of what happened. I was running around this morning quite frantic because I had taken copious notes from every panel. I had like 10 to 12 notepads full of notes, takeaways, action items, and a whole lot of things from yesterday. And then I promptly lost it all. So this morning I was sitting and furiously trying to recall all the stuff that had happened yesterday. It wasn't too difficult because every panel had left an inedible mark on our understanding. So what we are going to do, Neeraj and I are going to tag team. Our job now over the next 10 to 15 minutes is to walk you through each of the panels and give you some closing remarks and any commentary or key takeaway from each of the panels. So we're going to tag team and take one panel at a time. I'm sure that there will be not a lot of, we won't be able to cover every aspect of each panel, but we'll get to a quick summary of that. And that's our job over the next 10 to 15 minutes. Is that okay? All right. So I'm going to kick it off. It's very interesting. All right. So what do you think of the conference? No, not enough energy. All right. I was actually going to make you all stand up and do some stretching, but given that we had a late start, so this is good enough. So let's start with the beginning, right? For us, it's an honor, and I know Neeraj will agree with me, is that it's an honor to actually close out a conference of this magnitude. Because just like you, and I don't know if you agree with me, I did not know what to expect from the conference. I knew that it was going to be momentous. It was the first of its kind. The panel looked amazing. But I can tell you that in my past experience, people don't show up. They make a commitment and sometimes they don't show up. So I was a bit nervous as well because of the esteemed nature of the panelists and folks that were committed to be here. And I can tell you that every one of them, true to the Bharat style, showed up and did a phenomenal job. So, and I think that is a testament to the leadership that Abhiyaji, Sanjayji, and Jayji have brought to the conference. So my thank you to them for making this a reality.
Okay, so, the way we are going to do this closing is we'll talk about what happened on Friday. We'll talk about what happened in the ensuing 2 days. And then we'll talk about what our panelists have asked us to do as we keep going out in the future. Because this cannot be a one and done deal. So when we started this discussion on Friday, I was sitting somewhere there. I always sit close to the door. It's a practice that I developed in my engineering college. I refined it during business school. So I was somewhere there. And, Sanjayji talked about, he said, there is an audacious goal for this conference. And that is to tell the story of millions of Hindu Americans who have come to this country. And as I sat there, I kind of smirked and I said, wow, that's not an audacious goal. That's an Herculean goal. It's an impossible goal. Look at the paths we take. Look at the journeys. Look at the range of things we do. So I said, that's absolutely not possible. That's impossible. But look what happened. Look what happened on Friday evening. Look what happened on Saturday. And look what happened in today. So now we will take you through a bit of a journey. And then we'll ask you a simple question. Did we meet that audacious goal and challenge that Sanjayji talked about? And did we had enough of the food for our body, for our mind, and our soul that Jayji talked about? So let's go.
All right. I heard a couple of our speakers talk about this bully pulpit, right? And I did not think that anyone that, in the panel, and Neeraj, you will agree to this, is that we didn't find anyone standing in the bully pulpit of Hindutva. It was not a sermon on the mount. It was not someone yelling it from the top of the building, listen, like, we have invented the zero. We've got the Artha Shastra. We know all about flying from the age of Ramayana. I didn't find one reference to that. That sort of set the tone for what it was. So the common thread through the entire conference, starting from Friday, was about the pursuit of happiness and comfort. And at the three levels that Neeraj talked about, the body, mind, and intellect. And Sanatana Dharma defines them, and I heard another speaker this morning talk about it as the four Purusharthas, right? Dharma, Artha, Kama, and Moksha. And as the foundation of the substratum that Artha, Kama, and Moksha are based on is Dharma. So that theme was complete. It was permeated every panel starting from Friday. So, we can take every panel as it goes, and we'll start with the first one, which was about the arts, and if Neeraj wants a quick summary.
So art and literature, when I think about that panel, and I'll talk about, 2 or 3 key words that I got, that the takeaways that I got. The best way I can describe it is it was such an immersive experience. I had personally never thought about art and literature and music in that way. The intersection and the personal stories that we got. I was absolutely fascinated when I heard one of the panelists talking about how she started her training in music by singing lullabies to her baby. That was an incredible description of the personal travails, challenges that you pick up when you cross across the border. You take your training in India, and then you apply it to the audiences here. So that was absolutely incredible. The other thing I learned in that panel discussion was the sheer creativity. And I'm talking not about creativity in terms of creating the content. I'm talking about the creativity that happened when our panelists were talking about intersection of music with medicine. That was something that I never thought about. I never thought about how music could be actually therapeutic in pediatrics and so on. So that creativity that I saw, the intersection, the interaction, was absolutely great in that. You agree with that?
Absolutely, absolutely.
All right.
Yeah, you can go on to the second one too.
Oh, okay. You want me to go to the second one? Okay. So the second one was actually dramatically different. And see, this is why I'm talking about how every session was almost helping me overcome my skepticism that Sanjay ji talked about, when he said, well, we are going to cover this story of millions of Hindu Americans. So the second panel was all about the relationship and the really exciting growing opportunities between India and the United States. For most of us, our homeland and our adopted homeland. And there are a couple of things that crossed my mind. One was one of the panelists talked about the gap. He talked about the magnitude of the opportunity here. And so I was absolutely blown away that America is looking for 19 trillion of investments, and the total investment, American investment in India of date, is $800 billion. So I was thinking, what a massive opportunity it is for cross-border, investment here, and that was absolutely fascinating. Then the other thing that I learned in that panel, which I'm sure all of you got, most of us think about technology, we think about industry, we think about oil and gas, but then one of the panelists actually talked about alternate industries. He talked about bio industry, he talked about wind industry, and he talked about the ability to create jobs in India and really transform the society, which was a very, very different way of looking at cross-border investments. And then, of course, we talked about the challenges, which I'll not really go into, but again, how to overcome these challenges. It was just a fascinating discussion of what really exists in terms of opportunities between both the countries. Want to go?
Yep. All right. I'm ready now because I have my notes on this one. The next panel was about the role of the Hindu American in the public sector, in the public sphere, and mostly in the civic arena. And what I felt, one is that is the establishment of Dharma, right? It was eye-opening for me, some of the challenges that the various folks in the panel were facing and will continue to face. And it was a fledgling group that has ventured slowly but inexorably to leading an active civic life. And we've heard this often. Anyone who flies would hear this at the airports blaring away that says, when you see something, say something, right? And we generally take it very literally. It's like when we find something we don't like, we just complain incessantly about it, and then we walk away. And then the next time we see something, we complain, and then we walk away. And what we don't realize is that that's not what it meant. It said, when you see something, do something, right? And so I think the panel that addressed their active role in the political sphere, those people were going to do something. And I thought that was a very phenomenal panel discussion. It said, there were quotes from a Mahabharata, and I will not repeat it, but there's a fundamental theme to the Mahabharata that talks about yato dharma tato jayaha. And it translates, it actually goes yato dharma tato Krishna tato jaya. But in short, it says that where there is dharma, there is victory. But it did not come by just sitting around or talking in conferences and just expostulating about the dharmic values. It meant that Arjuna had to pick up his bow and arrow and actually go and fight and defend dharma. And the modern way of doing it is in two ways. We heard an amazing speaker talk about her way of contributing to establishing dharma and protecting it. And we heard the panelists talk about how they were going to protect dharma by taking an active role in civic life. And so I think that's their way of establishing one of that purushartha, which is protecting dharma. So I thought that panel was pretty amazing in the various ways in which, and they took every question, even the most tricky one that came at them, and held it in their stride. So I was pretty amazed by it, and I'm sure that you would have appreciated the candor and their sharing of their own faith and belief system as well. So that's about the public life. Yeah. You want to go to the next one?
The holistic living?
Yes, please.
All right, so the holistic living was, this was the best way I can describe this was really intriguing. I mean, we have all talked about yoga, and, I have talked about doing yoga for a long time, but it was really, really interesting to see all the theoretical aspects and different sides of yoga. And then how yoga really, crosses, and how our behaviors cross with, being vegan and then, following naturopathy, and how does it really come across as something which can really impact, things like climate change. So I thought it was a really engaging discussion. I was frankly staggered to see some of the clinical and objective data which was coming behind from the studies, right, Ma? So from things that we are talking about in yoga, what are the benefits? We were talking about naturopathy and how some of the clinical results have come out. And frankly, again, the intersection of all these different sciences, and then drawing it back to what really happens in India, how did these sciences grow up in India? I thought that was really fascinating.
Absolutely, yeah, and it was, I think each panel just did better and better, and you were just when you thought that they have reached the heights of what they could contribute to, and then the next panelist came up, and I thought the panel on innovation and thinking outside the box was pretty amazing. The whole team was incredible. They came with so much to contribute to, and in their own way shared with us that being in the pursuit of artha, right? Again, the theme of the four purusharthas, they were focusing on creating opportunity. Yeah? And creating opportunity for themselves, as some of them said first, but then in the course of creating opportunity for themselves, creating opportunity for others through the various entrepreneurial ventures that they had all participated in. But the underlying theme of that was the pursuit of artha with a dharmic faith. They may not have realized early on, like as they shared with us, they said that they did it because they believed that that's their way of giving, that's their way of sharing, right? But they did not talk about a lot is how that was governed by their upbringing and the environment that they were raised in. And it was pretty amazing to hear each one of them. Deepak I had known because his kids went to Bal Vihar, but the others as well, Ram and the others I've heard about, and their participation and engagement, and taking that opportunity that they have been given as being an entrepreneur, being able to make that change and harbinger of change, what I thought was very impressive.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, value creation is the heart of any society, right? And just listening to the creativity and different paths that these entrepreneurs have taken, on top of it, they're linking up with some of the things that they learned from the Hindu heritage, right? I mean, the kind of things I heard about all the time were work ethics and commitment and dedication, right? And really focusing on the basics. And the one new thing that I heard was, somebody connected with Mahabharat and said, actually, if you grew up in India, you don't have the fear of the unknown. That was remarkable, I mean, if you really think about it, an entrepreneur really jumps into an area of unknown, right? You don't know what is the business model, you don't know what is the operating model. And if you connect back to what our own dharma says, right? All you can, or our own dharma says, all you can do is really do what you want to do, what is your duty, and then leave the results out. So I thought that was a great connection between, our cultural heritage and the real life business environment that we live in today.
Yeah, absolutely. The next panel was about the science of consciousness, and this is a topic that's very near and dear to my heart because I always wonder about the intersection of where science stops and consciousness, the knowledge and pursuit of this deep knowledge begins. And so, I mean, of course, the panelists are eminent, Subhash Kakji and Anand Venkatraman. That team was mind-blowing in their collective knowledge and experience about the science of the mind. But then also they showed they actually were open to, because we generally hear about the science as exploration of the world outside, but this team of panelists really explored that science of the world outside and the world within, and they went deeper and deeper and deeper and asking the curiosity that leads them to truly understand where the world, the material world that we're seeing around us, is deriving its energy from. And so I thought that talk about the atom was pretty interesting as well. I can tell you that during that, just before that, and some of you may know, I was very jet lagged. And by that time, I was on the waning moon, and like literally, and figuratively, I woke up to the potential in me to stay awake through the rest of the day. And actually, the party went into very late at night, as some of you may know. We went and got coffee. But what I realized from that panel is that the journey of the scientist from the realm of the known to unknown. Right, that was what they talked about. The science is an exploration of facts as they perceive it with their eyes, ears, nose, and five senses. But they said there's something beyond this, and that's the pursuit of the known to the unknown, and which is where the wisdom of Vedanta is. So I thought the concept of Jiva and Jagat was really well discussed by the group, but using very technical terms, but I felt like, I don't know about you, but I felt like I wanted to learn and understand a little bit more about it as we go. And if you are interested, you should go and learn a little bit more about the concept of Jiva and Jagat. Neeraj, anything to add there? Okay, all right. Okay, next comes, I thought was fantastic. I don't know if you all agree, but you should if you weren't.
Yeah.
The lightning talks. What do you think of that one?
Where is Priya? My goodness.
Over there. Yeah.
Where is, wow, Priya, take a bow. Wow, it was incredible. And if there's one suggestion that I have about this conference, we need to start with that next time around. But please go ahead, Maha, and I'll join.
Yeah, I told Neeraj, so we were going to tag team, and I said, I just looked at it and I didn't do the eeny meeny. So I found out that it was Neeraj's turn to do the lightning talk, and I said, can we just do it together, please? Because I want to talk about all the girl power that I saw up on stage. And, again, here is this really cool thing that we teach kids in Bal Vihar, is that we talk about this the power of the female power, the girl power, there's t-shirts and everything that goes about girl power, but what does it actually mean in the Sanatana Dharma? And we teach the kids, about the power of the Trimurtis, Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva, and, we find these images of them with their consorts. And the kids don't really understand until you teach them that they can't do anything without their consorts. Brahma cannot create. You cannot create anything without the knowledge of what you're creating. And that's what Goddess Saraswati means, is the knowledge that's required to create. And you cannot sustain, as Lord Vishnu did, without the means to do so. Can you eat? Can you sustain? Can you grow? Can you prosper without the prosperity that's bought, material, physical, mental, wealth, and prosperity that Goddess Lakshmi brings? So it's not just a half. She's the means to be able to do the sustaining that Lord Vishnu did, and recycling. You know, that part of Lord Shiva is incomplete without Shakti. And so when we say girl power, it's not just being able to participate and engage, but truly to understand the potential that is hidden within the girls. And I was simply blown away by by all of them, every one of them. I can recall exactly what each of them spoke about. So 6 minutes, but 6 very compelling minutes of lightning talk. So I want to really, of all of the things, I want to really thank the organizers for actually making this particular thing happen. Anything
Right.
to add?
No, 19 women out of 20. Oh my goodness, it was amazing how young the crowd was. And for these kids to talk about their vulnerabilities, their search for identity, right? For them to talk about their uncertainties and how they're growing through it. It was remarkable. Looking at them, I kind of looked around and I said, wow, our future is in really good hands.
Yeah. I will conclude on the lightning talk by one little thing. I've heard very often the moniker attached to the kids that were born here. You know what that is? It's not a very flattering moniker. A, B, C, D, right? And we use it without thinking that we've just labeled these kids that were born here, and we consider them American-born confused daisies. And you know what? We will continue to call them that, but I want you to think about this. One difference. They're no longer. Anyone agree that the girls, anyone there that would appeared confused about their identity? Exactly. We are going to change that to American-born confident daisies going forward. Yep. So you hear anyone say A, B, C, D, say yep. But C stands for confidence.
Our timekeepers are giving us some very dirty glances. Yeah, we know. That's why we take care of you guys. All right, so let's do this. We will move on to today. You all have been here in this session, so we'll go pretty quickly through this. Listen, on education, you guys just rocked. I mean, 5 such good educators talking about real-time problems, talking about challenges that they face, talking about how they have used their heritage and everything that they have learned in India to bring those lessons to and build and start building and empowering and making the next generation more vibrant, more diverse, more inclusive. That was an incredible learning. That was an incredible experience. The one thing that I did take away and that I'll make a pitch for is what one of the panelists said when they talked about supporting the school system more, getting more involved in that. I absolutely wholeheartedly agree with that. Anilji, I never knew all your struggles, which were absolutely touching. I knew you were a remarkable man, but my goodness, you had such a great journey. Terrific. It was great to hear that.
So, Parulji was on it too, so I think you're going to get in trouble if you don't call her out.
And it was inspiring session. And then we came to the last one.
Right. The philanthropy one. That was not just about philanthropy. It was a whole lot of things. I thought that panel sort of wrapped everything together for us and put a bow on top. Do you agree? Right? I mean, we talked about raising funds, but we also talked about participation. It was, for me, I would like to hear more about that discussion a lot more. I think a whole day could be spent on just talking about giving back in whatever way means possible. I'm going to leave this with one final thought on the philanthropy part of it. Is even though this is from Kabir, it still explains to us how we should be looking at means, right? My mom always used to say this when she taught me Hindi. Everything that I know about Hindi was from my mom, and she always used to say this: "Sai itna dijiye jamai kutum smaye, main bhi bhukha na rahun sadhu na bhukha jaye." Is when we collect and we keep, when we hoard, right, and we give, it's not, when that symbolizes how we should be looking at our potential to earn, our potential to save, and our potential to give. And I think that sort of symbolizes what I heard from the team. But do it in a way that that one of the panelists talked about, which is, go about it smartly. Talk to people, understand where you're giving and why you're giving. So I think that wrapped it up for me for the day. Of course, the keynotes were pretty amazing too. Neeraj, you want to wrap it up?
So we are not going to say too much about our keynote speakers. It's like taking coal to Newcastle. I mean, you have heard both of them. There's nothing we can say that would exceed what both of them have said. So thank you so much. We really, really appreciated what you had to say. Very quickly, we talked about what we have done over last 2 days, right? Now, let me take a show of hands here. Do you believe or do you think that we were able to achieve the goal that Sanjay ji had laid out for us? And if not, then that's true too. Okay, good. I mean, looks like everybody did. Look, let's just talk about a few suggestions that our panelists made for the future that's important to touch on. The first thing, and I'll go really fast, guys, keep the glances down. The first thing, the first thing, one of the panelists made a very, very important point. They talked about how the need for connection, for network, for community is almost a primal need. It's a fundamental need, right? And they talked about the context of how we should be thinking about a conference like this, right? So when they talked about the context, when they talked about the values, it was all about things like humility, dedication, passion, strength of the community, strength of the family. Those were the words that we heard about, right? And believing in your culture, trying to preserve your heritage, and taking faith in your community does not mean automatically that we are either insulting or we are looking a contemptful view towards anything or anyone else. So we can absolutely take pride in what we are doing here today, which is just to reaffirm our values of inclusion, of diversity, our values of all the things that our panelists talk about. So that's one. The second thing is, if you heard during the advocacy panel, people talked about the need to continue. And to that extent, and I'll read out to you what one of our panelists said. Sumit, who was in industry and commerce, he said, be ambassadors of your community. And that does not mean preaching at the holy pulpit of Hinduism. It means setting examples by your action and by your behavior, right? So that's the second thing I would say. We are all of us here carry a responsibility. And the responsibility is to go out and spread the message and be leaders of our community for ourselves, but more importantly, for our next generation. Let me come to the third point. And the third point, as one of my favorite authors, Edward Hale, once said, coming together is a beginning. Keeping together is progress. And working together is success. This, ladies and gentlemen, is a beginning. Let's make it a success. Thank you.
And I believe the MC is going to come back.
Thank you so much, Neeraj, Mahaji, for your really in-depth conference summarization. I would like to call Mr. Sanjay Kaul up on the stage now, and please continue.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Gopika. I'm good without this. So I have been assigned the task of delivering the vote of thanks. But before I do that, I have to say this. I learned one thing from these two people. You should have your spouse as the timekeeper. Then you can go as long as you want. I can't hold myself.
They gave us dirty looks. They were giving us.
Yeah.
We just chose to ignore it.
On behalf of the World Hindu Council of America, the organizing team of Threads Conference, the management team, and the host team, it's my pride and privilege to thank you all as the delegates, as the speakers, as the panelists, and as the keynote speakers to have come to our first of its kind Threads Conference in Boston. Jayji, as the convener of the conference, thank you so much for leading us through this planning process and execution process. Our keynote speakers, but before I talk about that, I do want to share that we did have some hiccups. One was we had ordered a souvenir bag with the logo and all. It did not get delivered in time. So that was one hiccup we had. The other one of the keynote speakers on the opening session had a family emergency. Governor Dukakis could not come. But despite those hiccups, I think we managed it very well. I want to thank our keynote speaker for the opening session, Sri Rajiv Malhotra ji, for an excellent opening for this conference. I want to thank Tahir Gora ji for coming all the way from Canada and giving us closing remarks, which were actually very befitting for this conference. Sri Darshak Hathi ji, who is actually traveling in US on behalf of the Art of Living Foundation and was kind enough to come here and share his guidance for us for future, for the Threads Conference. I also want to acknowledge the presence of Mrs. Gora. Thank you so much for being part of this conference. We definitely have to acknowledge the facility that has been provided by Hilton Hotel. They have been very, very cooperative. I think as Hindus, as Indians, we have to bring business to such places which acknowledge and accommodate, because certain of our things are very different. We do not respect time. But they were accommodating. So I want to definitely thank them for that. I also want to thank BAPS for excellent food. I think food for thought is necessary, but it cannot be given if your stomach is empty. And they did an excellent job with the menu, with the preparation, and with their execution of the delivery. Very, very good. I don't know if they are here, but they deserve a very big hand. The decorations that you saw were done by Anisha. Unfortunately, she fell sick. She is not here, but I definitely want to acknowledge her contribution for the whole conference. Our photographers, I named them earlier, but please give them a big hand. Our media partners, including Lokwani, India New England, Gunjan Radio, Radio Music India, helped promote the conference in the local Boston area, and there are many journalists in the audience who helped us. Thank you so much. I also want to acknowledge TV Asia. Vanna Jingan is here covering for TV Asia. The Hindu Media Bureau, Dhanashri. If you have not given an interview to any of these two people, please make sure at least you give sound bites about this conference. We do need everybody's opinion. If you are satisfied, please say so. If you found something lacking, please do bring that to our attention. To make us better in future, we need every opinion that can be available. Thank you. I also want to acknowledge Acton TV. They also helped us promote this event, and they were here. Their staff was here. Thank you so much. Our AV, again, I named them for video recording, for all audio help. Thank you so much. Most thanks go to the panelists, all of who made sure they were here on time and they adhered to time. That was the best part of it. Our speakers, and they were not 20, they were 13, 1 male and 12 females.
They look like they were 20.
Their voices.
Yes. Our transportation team in particular, Jagdish and Raj Gupta ji did a lot of work. Thank you very much. Every evening we had a press release for last 2 nights. Thanks to Lalit Kaul, he made sure that we have a press release going out every evening. Thank you, Lalit. We had 2 authors who had come here with their books for book signing, Mr. Robert Arnett and Phil Goldberg. Their books are still available. It's on our part that we were not able to promote book signing. They are still here. Books are still available. Please make sure during the lunch, if you would like to talk to them, have a picture with them, have a signed book from them, please do so. They're doing it as a service to VHPA. The contributions are going to VHPA, and those are great books they have written. Please do that. I did mention that we did not get bags in time, but the bags that were provided were by Priya Samant. She did an excellent job as a friend. She came and helped me save the day. Thank you so much. Finally, nothing can be done without the presence of delegates. I know I don't have many there, but first day, second day, we had like 350, 400, and we could not have made this conference a successful conference unless everybody participated and interacted. And the tagline for this was to share our story, to engage the American society, the Hindus, the non-Indians, and those of the Hindus, non-Hindus and non-Indians who were here. I thank them very much, and in particular, I want to thank Mona Khetanji. She made an enormous effort, at least in the New England region, to reach out to every educational institution, every other organization, and every other ethnic background, communities of different backgrounds, so that we invite them to come. I know it's a long road, it's not easy. Many people do not read emails, many people do not feel like they would want to interact, but I think what we have achieved this time, the word will spread, and next time it will be easier for us to engage the other people as well. So finally, nothing can be done, and I want to acknowledge the presence of certain people here. Mr. K.C. Prahlad, he's been a friend. Thank you so much, always being part of us. Shri Vivek Sharma ji, a very big supporter of ours. We have Hemanti ji and Kanchan Banerjee ji. They have been backbone of the whole hard work that goes in. Shri Amit Kanodia ji, he's been very helpful and supportive. Sudhir Parekh ji. Parmeet Makode ji, he is also here, came back from India just for the conference. Anupam and Neelam Wali ji being part and parcel and supportive of our efforts. Ranjini Saigal ji and Suresh Sharma ji, and I am sure I have missed many more names. And Parveen ji and Sunanda ji in particular, I want to thank for all your help. And with that, thank you so much. I don't want to come in between you and the food we have. Thank you so much to all those who came from 29 different states in the country to participate and make this a very, very successful event. We are proud of you as proud Americans and as proud Hindus. Thank you so much. Namaste.